It's fall and it's time to treat our tent with permethrin again. Come along and I'll show you how we do it. Okay guys, so today we're going to treat the old Lanshan 2 with permethrin again. Now the first thing I'm going to tell you is set it up. Let it sit out in the sun or out in the wind. It's a little windy today. We're not in the dead of sun anymore. And let it sit there for about an hour or two and just dry off any moisture might be in your tent. All right. Then you want to dust off any impurities, anything sticking to your tent, you know, mud, grime, whatever. All right. And once you got to that point, get your bottle. Some of you will be buying the pre-mixed stuff. This stuff's mixed up myself. Wear rubber gloves. I know I'm not, but you should. And make sure you're wearing eye protection because it isn't hard for this stuff to blow into your eyes when the wind's going. So, the first thing I do is give the base here, get my bottle open. I give the base a good spray because this is usually where they're going to climb up on, especially your guy lines. The whole rainfly base all the way around we're going to treat. Doing the guy lines as we go. Just give them a good treating. Okay. Don't be afraid to saturate it. Won't hurt anything. So once you've got your base layer done all the way around, the first thing I would suggest is go straight to the top and spray the top and then just work your way down back and forth. Make sure your spray is set for the widest spray possible. Try not to get it dripping because then you're just wasting it, but a good even coat. It's pretty simple. It's not really rocket science here. As basically it's a neurotoxin. Just having some on your tent is good, but a good coating all the way through is better. As you can see, I'm just going back and forth. Just making sure everything's covered. Okay, so we got that step done. Now, before we continue, we will let this 100% dry out in the sun. If you got any wind or any slight sunlight, or if the ambient temperature is high, this will be ready to go within an hour. So we'll let that dry and we'll get back with you. Just a side note, don't forget to treat your clothes, your socks, and the rest of your gear, like your pack, and even your shoes. Okay guys, now this is the part that you're going to have to kind of examine your own tent and see if you want to do this or not. You don't have to, but as you saw, we just did our rain fly. Now I've already done the floor in ours because our floor is made out of sil nylon, which is basically the same fabric as the outside of our tent. Whatever tent you have will be made out of one of 3 or 4 different kinds of material. Like we have a really cheap Ozark Trail car camping tent, 3-person tent. It was really cheap, but you can only treat the rain fly and the screening on it. And you can spray the screen, that's fine. But if you spray the floor, it'll take like 3 days to dry because it's basically like a tarp. Most other fabrics, like Dyneema, Cuban fiber, whatever you want to call it, or any kind of sil nylon, or any kind of polyester, it'll just soak it up. It'll be fine. It'll dry fast. But that tarp-like material on some cheaper tents, if the floor feels like a tarp, then spraying that is fine, but you have to let it stay till it dries, which can take up to 2 days. Just wanted to give you a note about that. We sprayed ours before we did the outside. Now, generally I do it in reverse usually. I usually spray the outside, let it dry, and then spray the inside. The only reason I did it backwards this time is because I was treating some other stuff. Now, you don't technically have to treat the inside on a lot of tents, but the way this tent's set up, with the bathtub floor and stuff, it makes a barrier that bugs have to climb over. That said, I want to say that if you have the outside rain fly done, generally speaking, you know, the scent is still going to get to the ticks. And the reason I personally like to do my hammocks or my tents is because when you climb into them at night, if you have ticks on you, that scent's going to get to them and kill them. A lot of people don't realize that, and they think they don't need to treat their tents or their hammocks or any gear. I mean, we treat our rain ponchos, we treat our clothes, treat a lot of stuff, and we treat it twice a year too, because there's like an influx about the end of July of bugs. So like basically a whole new hatching out of bugs. So we like to treat now because the ticks will get wild here for about the next month or two. From July till about late September, or until we get our first frost here in Ohio, they get pretty wild. So that's just how we treat our tent. Yes, you can treat the screening, the mesh, if you want to. It's not a bad idea. If you do that, give it plenty of time to dry. That's the whole thing. Do not put this back in your bag until it's dry. And depending upon what your bag's made out, feel free to spray your bag. That's fine too. But till next time, I'm Tony, and make sure you treat your gear because you don't want Lyme disease. We'll see you in the next one.